How does this affect the cars? Teams are going to be using more flexible front wings and are likely going to see a performance swing. Like McLaren are pretty notable. They've been cited a lot this year for what they've done technically. They've been noted as far as their usage of the flexi wings going back to last season, but everybody's used them. Ferrari's used them. Mercedes have used them. Red Bull have been the big, sounding the alarm on like, oh, this is wrong. We shouldn't be using these. But they use them too. So everybody across the grid has at least utilized some of the methodology they've seen around the rest of the grid. And the more you're exploiting means more airflow going over the rest of the components, going over the back of the car, going through the floor, going through whatever the components are. And basically, what's the best way of putting this? It's vice versa. The less flexibility means less airflow. So from a handling perspective, you're going to see a little bit more oversteer going into the portion of the tire chain, going into the portion of this change, excuse me. So too much front wing creates oversteer. Too little, you won't be able to find as much speed as you need in slower corners. With less air running over key portions of the bodywork, so over the top of that lining of the floor edge, over the top of your, the side pods, going into the cooling components, going into things like McLaren's brake ducts, right? Everybody on the grid has certain aerodynamic efficiencies and deficiencies, but the reality is a lot of it does start at the front of the car, starts at the nose, starts at these flexi wings, and dictating exactly how airflow is going to ride through the top and throughout the floor. With less air running over these components, you're probably going to see some depreciations in speed, more or less. Like you're going to see teams getting a little bit slower than they probably would have been. I don't think it's going to be as wide of a swing that you're going to see a team.
You mean no more Lando Norris lap records?
That's where
we've had a lot of lap records this year.
We have, but that's where a lot of like specific setups are going to start really coming into play here. You might see teams having to lower ride heights, but that's going to have to make them consider the wear on the plank on the bottom of the car, because you can't wear that by too much or else you can get completely disqualified. Ask Lewis Hamilton in China. Ask him in Austin last year. Ask Charles Leclerc in the same exact race. So lowering the car too much, wearing away at that plank, is a safety hazard and could disqualify you. So the complexion of these cars, while all these teams have obviously had a lot of time to factor these in, the first inklings of these regulations were coming out in December, became official in January. They've had obviously 5-6 months now to prepare for them. But we are really going to see which teams tackled them correctly, which teams factored for these well. Red Bull have been relying on these incoming changes to really bring the fight back to your boys in McLaren. I think some other teams, Ferrari, Mercedes, they've probably been factoring for these. I think Mercedes, in Imola, they brought a new front wing setup, and that was supposed to be in anticipation of these regulations. So teams have already been experimenting with this on track. McLaren, as far as I know, have not. I could be wrong on this. Feel free to correct me. But yeah, we're going to see some pretty big regulation changes. Some team principals even saying that this is massive as far as the complexion of the rest of this season. Red Bull are certainly hoping so. You've got to be a little bit nervous about this. If I had to guess, if Red Bull have been accounting for this for so long, they're prepared to bring the fight back to McLaren. That could mean Max Verstappen more than keeps this championship interesting. He might upend it.
Well, we'll see what happens. We do have a fast car, so we'll see if a little front wing change makes
that's a general breakdown of these incoming regulations that are going to be changing in Spain. I'm excited to see what they'll look like. Admittedly, I don't think it's going to be insanely drastic. I think that we are going to see some performance differences. We're going to see drivers complaining a lot over the course of these next couple of weeks when it comes to setup deficiencies.
They love to do that.
They sure do. But I think that the top of the order is probably going to stay relatively consistent. We might see some more swings week in, week out, and hopefully that makes the racing at the front that much more interesting. But from a technical breakdown perspective, really happy to share this with you guys. TLPs, if you like this stuff, please let me know in the comments. The Race, they do a fantastic job. I want to shout them out one more time because I'm a consumer of their content as well.
Yep.
If you want more technical stuff, they do a great job. So wanted to shout them out.
All right.